My guest today is Dan Brunn. Dan Brunn is an architect in LA and a friend of mine. Dan, how are you?
I'm doing great, Nigel. It's good to see you.
I know, right? Exactly. The last time you and I saw each other, we were having lunch in Venice, in Italy, a couple of years
Yep.
ago. And it was at that lunch that you talked to me about this really cool project that you were cooking up. So tell my viewers, what is Bridge House?
So Bridge House is a personal project and a professional project. So it's something that we've been working on for about 4 years. And the idea with it was to literally bridge over a brook that's existing on the site, but also bridge disciplines and bridge the community, and as a way to invite and to educate people who are, let's say, not in my world of architecture and design, and to understand what forward-thinking net zero home could possibly look like and how well it could work.
Yeah. So is this your first net zero home?
This is my first net zero home. So we've always had an initiative of doing, eco-friendly work, but this is the first one that's actually, I could certify that it is net zero.
Well, I mean, your presentation is going to be pretty cool. So let's just go ahead and show your screen and we can kind of walk through it and we can talk about some of the cool elements in there.
Run through them. There's a few slides at the beginning. So I really wanted to explain how this house works and why it works so well. So if we start from the top left corner, this is a typical lot and how you have a house in a suburban area. So you have a front yard, and we're going to work our way to the right. You have a front yard, rear yard, typical entry, and then the house has a view towards the backyard. This is what we see throughout, natural suburban condition.
Right.
However, this was slightly different, and the side was 260 feet long, and there was that diagonal, which is a brook, and all the homes typically in the area are in the front still. I decided to turn the house on its side along the axes, and then the house, no matter what, has a connection to the views and to nature. But importantly, since we're talking about eco-friendliness, the house is situated on the south side of the property with all the windows facing north, so you don't get direct sun or heat gain. So that is the optimal thing to do. And it's a great thing to think about as designing a home. And it's ultimately why Bridge House can be net zero. So the house is also fabricated using a system of parts. So it's not a prefab home, but it uses a structural component system from a company called Bone Structure. What's really neat is that the system is like an adult erector set. There's no cutting, welding, or anything like that. It sounds like a car mechanic body shop. It's like boom, 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 boom. You just hear the impact wrenches. And one of the really neat things is that all the steel is 89% recycled content to begin with. And one of the other things is that it eliminates the amount of waste. So we don't think about construction. It's the biggest producer of waste in America, actually.
Yeah.
And so by having all the structural elements come to the site without having to cut them down, that's a huge saving. Let's continue then. Another thing that we did is solar panels. So you could see just the sun beating down on this. The house is 1 story tall. Essentially, there is a basement in the back, but that means that you could just lay down, solar panels throughout the whole project. We worked with SunPower, and they have the most efficient solar panel out there, but it's also really, really beautiful and thin and lightweight, which means it made it really easy to add to the structure of the house. If you look at this slide, and this is actually something, Nigel, that we talked about, like how could somebody implement, like this is something that's actually simple. Like, okay, so solar, you could retrofit to most homes, but also if you look at this driveway, we have these permeable pavers, and we had these custom made for us, but there's tons of other sources. So these are terrazzo permeable pavers, and why they are important is that it allows the water flow from the site to percolate back to the site, and you don't have runoff. Runoff is a big issue in cities like LA. Even though we don't have a lot of water, a lot of rain, you still end up having to process it somewhere. And here you're keeping everything local. And this is something that I think, maybe not, not to this style, but you could pick it up almost anywhere. You could get a permeable paver. Okay, so this is another really cool thing. So we all heard of hybrid cars. So now, you think about heating a pool. So typically the pool would have been heated by gas energy, sometimes electrical energy. But this is a first of its kind hybrid pool heat exchanger, heat pump, and a gas-fired heater in one body. And what that means is that you can use the solar energy. Let's say when you're not at home and you have a low usage, the solar energy will actually be used with the heater to heat up the pool. And then if you do need it to, boost it, let's say at a time when there isn't sun, you could gas fire that as well, which is just really, really, really cool use of technology. Also, the house has very high insulation qualities to it.
Mm-hmm.
So we used foam, like rigid foam insulation,
Right.
and we used spray foam on top of that.
Okay.
So again, if you can invest in the insulation before, you end up having to use a lot less energy in the outcome.
So let's see that house.
So yeah, you can see, all these windows, the major windows are all facing north. So again, you're not getting that heat gain, that solar heat gain, which is in our climate is a real nuisance. We used cedar siding, and this is crazy because this is actually the stock that's lower grade than a lot of home builders use. But I really loved it because it's kind of, you could call it the remnants or the leftovers in essence. It has these knots in it.
Okay.
And it actually, to me, adds a lot of warmth to a very modern home. And then this is another shot showing you the permeable pavers, and then the entry. And again, like this big window that we worked on, facing north. And the idea is figuratively, it's like a hug of nature, right? So it's like two hands opening up and grabbing you in to come and welcome into the home.
Yeah, nice
Absolutely.
shot. Wow.
And so this shot I wanted to share because if you look on your right, it's a small window, and that window faces south. Mm-hmm. But all the major windows, all the rest are facing north. And so we did that as a priority of how to light the house. And what this actually really helps because it keeps everything very airy. Yeah, this really shows it. So then you can understand how the house floats over the natural brook. There are two beams that are 65 feet long, almost 3 feet deep underneath the house. And then with the top right-hand view is what I wanted to show, where you have skylights in order to bring in more natural light. And we have triple glaze windows, glaze. Yeah. Again, reducing of the heat gain.
Okay. So then I wanted to ask you as we wrap up here, how can a mainstream builder implement some of these strategies into their homes that would probably have a lower price point, a lower construction budget?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so certain things, the industry has changed dramatically, and we have great windows and doors right now. That's one thing to look at. Insulation, another thing to look at. But really simple, even retrofit things you could do is you could add motorized shades, and you could program them to basically go down. So if you have a big south-facing window, get a motorized shade. The shade will go down, let's say, whenever the sun is hitting at that point, reduce that heat gain. Things like that. Also, you could change light switches. You could change to smart light switches too, which will automatically turn off and on the lights, changing to LED lights. These are all very, very, very simple and economical changes that could happen to an existing home or to a developer working or a builder working currently on a home.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dan, thank you very much. I appreciate it.